Okay, we're back again. It is December the 6th when I'm recording this. This is Wednesday, December the 6th. And we did have the National Board of Review come out today with their awards. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of run down those quick, and then we'll go into the final Golden Globe predictions. And this is again stuff as of today. Once in a while, there's those late breaking things that happen with the Globes, like the Friday before or the Thursday before, where they say, "Oh, all of a sudden we're switching this to this," or from drama to comedy musical in the film category, for example. But that being said, I think we'll go ahead and we'll run down what I have and we'll go over it. But first, National Board of Review, which I think we talked a little bit about earlier in the week here. We talked about the possibility of Scorsese doing well here. The Irishman won here a few years ago for Best Film, and I believe took supporting actor as well for Pesci, if I'm not mistaken. No, Brad Pitt won here. Okay, I think it was Pesci won at New York Film Critics or something like that. I remember seeing his name on there as a winner. But no, Killers of the Flower Moon though did very well here today with three big wins in the top five categories. Killers, well, I guess top four because there is two screenplay categories here. It took Best Film, Best Director, and Best Actress for Lily Gladstone. So very, very good job here for this film. And I expected this to be a spot where, we're not going to see like an Oppenheimer win across all these critics groups. This is a spot where Killers of the Flower Moon or Poor Things or, some of these other films are going to fare a little better. Past Lives can fare a little better here than maybe it will when we get down to it at the Oscars. All of Us Strangers could win a few bids away, especially like in the Best Actor category or Adapted Screenplay categories. And yeah, we've seen a couple of those here today, a couple of those mentions here and there, but maybe not necessarily in the spots we thought. Let's see. Then next up, we can talk about The Holdovers. That also had three big wins here today. Best Actor for Paul Giamatti, who I have to admit, after seeing the film and talking about it last time, he has my vote in Best Actor right now. Cillian Murphy is excellent. DiCaprio does a great job as always, but Giamatti, just something about this just struck me. He's just the person I would vote for personally. And that's not to say that, obviously that's not saying Murphy or DiCaprio are doing anything wrong with their roles, of course, or their performances. But no, just Giamatti, I think, just did it for me with this one. Divine Joy Randolph took supporting actress. Not totally unexpected. Again, there wasn't really a huge, gimme in this category across the board here with the critics groups. It'll just be if she can ride this momentum into like a Globes win, a SAG win, maybe even a Critics' Choice win, and potentially even a BAFTA win. That's where, she could start taking over and actually, be a dominant force in the category. But we'll let the chips fall where they may, and we'll see if she can keep any momentum up. And then it did take also original screenplay, which, depending on where Barbie ends up, again, I'm still saying it's going to end up in adapted. I think the Academy's going to come in on that ruling probably in the weeks leading up to, or potentially even the days leading up to nominations being announced, or more likely it'll be in the spot where voting begins, or like midway through voting, they're going to say, "Wait, we're switching it." And if Barbie clears out in that category, I think The Holdovers does stand a really, really good shot of winning there in original screenplay. We'll keep going here. Poor Things got a couple wins here. Best Supporting Actor for Mark Ruffalo, which was a good spot for him to get a win there. And it also won for Adapted Screenplay, Tony McNamara, who I believe also wrote The Favorite. And The Favorite did win a few things here and there, I believe, through some critics groups. Back in 2018. Let's see here. Just because I have it up here, it won at Washington. It actually ended up winning at BAFTA. Atlantic's Film Critics Circle gave it screenplay. It was runner-up in LA. So yeah, it did pretty well. And I expect he might grab one or two more of these through the rest of the year. If it's not going to Killers of the Flower Moon, if it's not going to potentially, I don't know. I don't think Oppenheimer's super hot with the critics groups here in screenplay, at least. Could win one or two, but I don't see it being, if it's broken down between adapted and original, then I think it would stand a better chance. If it's just overall just best screenplay, I don't know how many of those Oppenheimer's going to win. Let's see, we'll keep going here. Just a couple more. For Best Animated Feature, we had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse win here. Not a gigantic surprise at all. International film went to Anatomy of a Fall. Again, where it's eligible, I think this film is going to be very much a contender in this category if it's not going to go to Zone of Interest. Let's see, directorial debut, Celine Song for Past Lives, which is, yep, a worthy nod there. Breakthrough performance was Teyana Taylor for 1001, which I haven't heard much about this one. Yeah, just really haven't heard much about it. Best documentary, we'll mention this one went to Still, the Michael J. Fox documentary, which is probably a good pick there. Haven't seen that one. Ensemble, this was a little bit of a surprise. The Iron Claw, which is the new A24 film from with Zac Efron in the leading role. This one is starting to come on at a decent time here. This is where maybe it lands a surprise Globe nomination, maybe a surprise nomination to at Critics' Choice. This is a good spot for it to start popping up on the radar of Oscar voters, and where they can go and see it. And let's see here. I'll just mention, there's a couple more we can mention here. Outstanding Achievement in Cinematography was Rodrigo Prieto for both his efforts on Barbie and Killers of the Flower Moon. And Stunt Artistry, Achievement in Stunt Artistry, went to the crew from John Wick Chapter 4. Just real quick, we can, compare, a few things here to, how this group, the National Review, has done as far as predicting who's going to win at the Oscars. Just to start off, the best film last year was Top Gun Maverick, which got nominated, but did not win. Spielberg won director. He was, as I recall, he did fairly well with the critics groups last year. He didn't win. Colin Farrell for Best Actor, Banshees of Inisherin. Yeah, he got a bunch of these critics prizes, didn't win at the Oscars. Michelle Yeoh, there you go, for Best Actress. That one paid off. Brendan Gleeson won here for Banshees and Supporting Actor. He got nominated but didn't win. Janelle Monáe won for Glass Onion. Yeah, she didn't even get nominated. Martin McDonagh won for Original Screenplay here for Banshees of Inisherin. Got nominated, didn't win. And then All Quiet on the Western Front was nominated here for, won here actually for Adapted Screenplay. Yeah, that ended up, getting a nomination. Let's see, then just 2021 and 2020 probably. We'll stop there. Licorice Pizza was a winner here in 2021 for Director and Film. Yeah, ended up getting nominated but didn't win. Actor went to Will Smith. That was correct. Actress Rachel Zegler for West Side Story did not get nominated. Ciarán Hinds won here for Belfast. He got nominated, didn't win. Ingenue Ellis for King Richard was the winner here in Supporting Actress. Yeah, she got nominated, didn't win. Asghar Farhadi won for Original Screenplay for A Hero, which, as I recall, was not really in the discussion for screenplay that year. And Tragedy at Macbeth won for Adapted Screenplay. I think that one missed, did it not? Because it got Denzel... God, I can't remember. It got Denzel, Production Design, and Cinematography, and that was it. Yeah, so it didn't quite get into to that category there. And then 2020, we'll stop here. Da 5 Bloods was a winner here for film and director. Missed both those categories. Riz Ahmed was our winner here for Best Actor. He got nominated, did not win. Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman and Best Actress. Yeah, nominated, didn't win. Paul Raci for Sound of Metal was nominated, did not win. Yuja Yu, or I can't remember how you pronounce her name. Gosh dang it. Didn't we give her a different name or something? Eugenia, something like that, for Minari. It's starting to come back to me a little bit. And Minari also picked up Best Original Screenplay, and News of the World was nominated, one here for Adapted Screenplay, another one that did not get nominated at the Oscars there. So yeah, there'll be a few probably that carry over here, statistically speaking, odds speaking, maybe one or two. Like, again, in Best Actress, man, I'm starting to, again, I talked about the narrative when I reviewed the film. What if Lily Gladstone, kind of becomes a clarion call for those out there who are a little upset at the film for not having a more pro American Indian perspective, a more pro American Indian central role or anything, even though she is arguably one of the leads in the film. But so I can see that narrative taken off, and she could just start winning, consistently and take off. But we'll see. And yeah, Divine Joy Randolph, I think again I think she's got a good chance to win a lot, just clean up at a lot of these critics prizes. It'll be when the industry starts voting. That's when we'll see if she can carry over. If not, then that could be a spot to award Oppenheimer if Robert Downey Jr. loses steam, or if Cillian Murphy can't start winning Best Actor. Who else? I feel like with Naya, Jodie Foster, it sounds like more people are more on board with Jodie getting in and Annette Bening missing, and just for that film, which again that scares me, because again that's when you're getting into that. Okay, we're expecting one actor but nothing else. That's when those films start to crumble, even if it is Netflix. And we've spotted all the examples here over the past few years, from Eddie Redmayne to either of the actresses from Passing. To there was probably one other one that I'm thinking of. That was a Netflix one, but I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, so it's just it can get really difficult if you're the only expected nominee for your film. Okay. Yeah, I don't know who else. I think we'll wrap it up there for National Board Review. And yeah, we'll examine some more critics prizes as they happen. Probably LA's the last major one where I'll take some time out of a video to discuss in length what happens. Otherwise, the other ones as they come and go, I might spot a couple that's like, oh, look what they picked for Best Actor, or look who they picked for this or that. If it's something that captures my fancy, it's something like, oh, okay, this could happen. I could see a scenario where this happens. Or if it's something where it's like, that's off the wall, I don't know if that's going to happen, and then we'll see if it can, repeat down the road. Okay, so I've got all my nominations ready to go here. They're in alphabetical order. Again, this is my alphabetical order, so that it might not match exactly how the Globes do it. But we'll go ahead and begin here with the two music categories. Best Original Song is up first. And remember, they are switching here at the Globes. There are now going to be a solid 6 nominees across the board here for film. Again, unless there's something that I totally missed where they're going to do a weird Critics' Choice thing where some of the below the line categories get like 5 max, and then everything else is like up to 8 or whatever the hell. Again, that's another reason why I don't predict Critics' Choice anymore, because it's like you just pick up to 9 or 8 or something and say, I got them all right. It's like, well, whatever. I'm sick of them. So the 6 I have selected here for Best Original Song, and this is by alphabetical order by the film, not necessarily by the song. What Was I Made For from Barbie, Keep It Movin' from The Color Purple, The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot, For the First Time from The Little Mermaid, Road to Freedom from Rustin, and This Wish from Wish. So I guess really quick, just talk about these. The What Was I Made For, I think picking that over I'm Just Ken or Dance the Night Away from Barbie, both of which are very, very viable here, and and everything. I don't quite see them, even with 6 slots, picking 2 songs from Barbie. Remember, the slam dunk of slam dunks with musicals here a few years ago was La La Land. They only put 1 song in. And that's many will argue that's just so they could get the historic 7 out of 7 sweep for that film. Because obviously otherwise it would have been 7 for 8, and it would have missed, one of the 2 songs, unless they tied, would have had to lose. So I'm just keeping a little bit of that mantra here just with this. But again, I could easily just be mistaken, and it's, multiple songs from Barbie. But yeah, What Was I Made For, with it being Billie Eilish, you have to keep in mind who is performing the song sometimes gets you an edge here at the Globes. So that's part of the reason why I picked that one. For Flamin' Hot, even though a lot of people have said, hey, that's the one that Diane Warren could get in for if it's not going to be 80 for Brady, that one's also sung by Becky G, who's a pretty hot commodity on the music scene right now. So that's a reason why I picked that one. Even though for the first time, The Little Mermaid isn't really like hot at the Globes, it's got a chance in a couple other categories, and it's got Lin-Manuel Miranda behind it doing some of the lyrics or music, or both. I can't remember how it's credited there, but yeah, that feels like, one that they could just go to get some more star power in the category. And the other 3, I feel like, yeah, you've got The Color Purple. That's probably going to be a multi-nominee film here at the Globes, and it just feels like a natural spot there. Road to Freedom feels like it's, it's got a good shot in this category. And Wish, being a more recent one, being a Disney one, feels like it's going to get in. So I did mention I'm Just Ken and Dance the Night Away. Both or one of them could get in for Barbie. Going to Be You for 80 for Brady if they do want to go with Diane Warren. And then I'll stick with a little bit of a wild card here with High Life from Flora and Son as another possibility. Again, that is one, since it is a comedy musical category and an entry in that category, sometimes they like to double dip and get a couple nominations out of that. For the original score category, I'm going with Elemental, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and The Zone of Interest. With this one, I feel like 5 out of these 6 feel pretty good as far as, across the board here. Spider-Man was the one I was questioning here. But then I remember Daniel Pemberton has actually done better here at the Globes than he has at the Oscars, as far as his nominations and stuff. And since Spider-Man, I think it's, a shoe-in to be a nominee for animated feature. I don't know what else it could get here at the Globes. I don't think it's got like a major song or anything it can contend for. I feel like that's a spot where they'll give it a nod, especially with it being 6 nominees. But also I would look out for The Color Purple, Asteroid City, and The Holdovers being possible contenders here. Let's move on to animated feature. The 6 I have here are The Boy and the Heron, Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget, Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Peasants, and Wish. I did have Super Mario Brothers here for a while, but I'm bailing on that one. It's my first one, though, that would get in over something like maybe The Peasants or maybe Wish. I feel like the other 4 feel okay. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie got good reviews. The box office was okay on it, but I haven't sensed it's got a lot of staying power here. And I don't know if not only the Globes, but later on the Oscar voters are going to go for it. Annie Awards, maybe. If it does well at the Annie Awards, then I might really reconsider and maybe put it into my 5 for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. But and Annie's sometimes can be deceiving. Some of the big winners at the Annie Awards sometimes go on to lose the Oscar. Klaus, as I recall, was a more recent one. That's if memory serves. I remember Klaus started coming on strong that year, especially after like a BAFTA win too. But yeah, sometimes Annie Awards are a little deceiving there. And then there is one I haven't. It hasn't been released yet, but I've been seeing a lot of ads for it. Migration. Sometimes they do go with those later, bigger budget, bigger studio films here if they've got an open slot. So I'll just name drop that one in case. For Best International Film, I really haven't talked about this much at the Oscars, but with Anatomy of a Fall not being eligible as France selected The Taste of Things over it, and again, there could be a discrepancy there because almost half the film is in English, so they might not have even qualified to begin with. It's been picking up a few awards here at the critics group. So Anatomy of a Fall is in my list here for the Globe. So that's the first one I have. Then Fallen Leaves from Finland, Perfect Days from Japan, The Promised Land from Denmark, The Teacher's Lounge from Germany, and The Zone of Interest from the UK. Those are my 6. And yeah, Anatomy of a Fall feels pretty good. Zone of Interest we think is going to make it. Teacher's Lounge has been one that has sounded like it's a solid third place pick here. In case, at some of these award shows, in case Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest start fighting and clashing and splitting votes, that's when something like Teacher's Lounge or something else could come in. With this one, though, for the other possible films, there's quite a few to pick from here. The Taste of Things from France could get in here. I think it would have to be in place of Anatomy of a Fall. I don't think there's a rule at the Globes where they say multiple films from the same country can get nominated. I don't know. That doesn't sound like something they would do, personally. Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World, which is a long title from Romania. A few people I've heard talking about international feature at the Oscars say that's one to look out for. Rojek from Canada. Canada always seems to sneak into a couple of these, whether it's the Oscars or sometimes at like Critics' Choice or Globes, they sneak in. So Rojek is from Canada. I'm going to name drop that one. And then The Visitor from Bolivia, I've heard, is one to look out for. And then there is one, I didn't write it down, but there's one from Spain that J.A. Bayona did. He's, obviously done some films for major studios and stuff, so going back to Spain and doing one, that could also get nominated. But again, I did not write down the title for that one. All right. Let's move on to the next category here, which is Best Screenplay. My picks here are American Fiction, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Holdovers. And this is a category I feel really strong about my picks here. I don't... The next 4 that I have as possible ones, they feel like the door is pretty much shut on these contenders. It's Past Lives, which the Globes are really going to have to really like it, I think, for it to get in for this category and do overperform for a couple other ones. Maestro, which I think is going to do well here, but I don't necessarily see screenplay as a big strength for the film. Anatomy of a Fall, which feels like it's kind of losing some steam in the Best Picture race, so something else could take its slot in screenplay going forward here and stuff, especially at the Oscars. And then May December, because Todd Haynes does do sometimes better than expected here at the Globes. There's been times, like Carol, where his film did better at the Globes than it did at the Oscars. So I would say May December is one to look out for, especially with May December being one of these sneaky picks for Best Screenplay. I think it's, as I recall, competing in original. If it's broken down in the critics' groups between original and adapted, May December it's been one that a lot of people have cited as being a really big contender there. So I'll name drop that one. That one actually probably does feel like the first one that would get in over something like maybe American Fiction if that doesn't land, or The Holdovers in case that one misses for some reason, or maybe even Killers of the Flower Moon in case that one is just not interesting enough for the voters. But we'll see. Into the acting races. Supporting actress, my 6 here are Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, Penelope Cruz for Ferrari, Jodie Foster for Nyad, Julianne Moore for May December, and Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Look out for Taraji P. Henson here for The Color Purple, and she and Danielle could both get in very easily. Viola Davis for Air is one I would look out for, especially because remember the Globes sometimes do like to kind of give everybody a shot here. Amazon, with Saltburn not really, kind of that one kind of petering out a little bit. It feels like, okay, if they really want to give Amazon something, Air is a probably the next one they would go with. And then I'll just in case, I don't really think she's a major contender, but it's America Ferrera for Barbie is one I would look out for. But otherwise I feel okay about these 6 as well. Best Supporting Actor, my 6 picks here are Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Willem Dafoe for Poor Things, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, Charles Melton for May December, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. Where's De Niro? That's what we all said in 2019. I think De Niro could miss again here, and I'm betting on it. I looked at this. I wanted to keep Ryan Gosling. I wanted to keep Ruffalo. I wanted to keep Downey. I wanted to keep Willem Dafoe. And it was between De Niro or Sterling K. Brown. I'm like, I got to move one of these guys out because I feel like with Charles Melton, with the New York win, with it being a Todd Haynes film, that's I think what pushed me more than anything else here. Since it is Todd Haynes and his films again, can tend to do better at the Globes than they do at the Oscars. That's where I see Charles Melton sticking around here and getting a nomination here at the Globes. And that's not to say that he can't get nominations at like SAG or BAFTA or the Oscars down the road, but I don't know. I feel like this is a good spot for him to start, and this could be a good test because if he misses here, then then people start saying, oh, it's only a critics thing for Charles Melton, and then he could start to slide out of the discussion there. But for this one, this is a spot, remember, where De Niro he's had his ugly days with the previous Academy. And some of us thought last year with Brendan Fraser, actually a co-star in Flower Moon, with the old ways kind of dying out there at the Globes. They thought, we thought maybe he would still win Best Actor Drama for The Whale, even despite Elvis and Austin Butler there. But no, they did go with Austin Butler. So this might be, a new look Golden Globes, but it's not necessarily totally the new Golden Globes yet. So yeah, I see De Niro as missing here, but and I looked at it again because I looked at some of his past nominations and stuff, and it's like, well, you got Silver Linings Playbook, he didn't miss for that or anything. I think the difference there was for that one he was really high up in the discussion for Best Supporting Actor for that to get the win, and And even though he was, fairly in the mix, for Best Actor the year of The Irishman, and The Irishman did well, across the board there at the Globes. Really, the only other category it might have gotten into was like score or something, but it didn't get nominated there. I don't know. I feel like this is one spot where they might overlook Killers of the Flower Moon, because let's not bandy about the bush here. Lily Gladstone really front of mind for the film. DiCaprio, pretty consistent here. And Scorsese as director, I think, is they're some of the more high-minded stuff for not for Netflix, for Apple and Paramount right now for where they want to angle the film for potential wins. and pour some money in. Where I see De Niro again, I can see him getting in to the Oscars as like that again, that fourth, fifth slot, but his performance is fine, but it's nothing groundbreaking. I would even argue his performance in especially the third act of The Irishman, way better. There's the telephone scene from that, or a couple things where it's down to just him at the end there. It's like he is so much. He gets a lot more to do, I think, in that film emotionally, on a range of emotions than he does here. There's maybe one or two scenes of some slight regret and some scenes where he's kind of doing some scheming and stuff here and there in Killers of the Flower Moon, where you're like, okay, yeah, he's still good. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a bad performance. I'm just saying it's not as expressive and emotional and open as some of his competitors here, especially. So yeah, I think this is a spot where De Niro can miss. Dominic Sessa, for the Holdovers, could definitely get in here, especially if the Holdovers goes over really well with the Globes voters, which I think it'll go over pretty well. And then John Magaro for Past Lives was my third one here. And again, I feel like a lot of the discussion for him has started to fade away. For the lead acting categories now, Best Actress Comedy Musical, Fantasia Barrino is my first pick for, and this, again, just alphabetical, for Color Purple. Abby Ryder Forston for Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret. Jennifer Lawrence for No Hurt Feelings. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, You Hurt My Feelings. Did I mistype that? Or is that her actual film name? Now I'm, no, that's it. Okay, yeah. I thought I accidentally mistyped, and no hard feelings, You Hurt My Feelings. I was like, uh-oh, did I just, my brain wander for a minute there? But no, that's the name of the film. Margot Robbie for Barbie and Emma Stone for Poor Things. One revelation I kind of had here in the last 24 hours here, and this will be, I think, going forward for like Best Actress, especially like at a big show like the Oscars. I can see a scenario here kind of similar to De Niro, The Year of the Irishman. He was consistently getting nominated for Best Picture as a producer on the film, but missing Best Actor. Now, Margot, I think, will do better than that. I think she has a shot. I mean, I think she gets in here at the Globes, obviously, with the comedy musical split. Critics' Choice, pretty good bet, especially if they do go with like 7 nominees in that category. If it's 6, you could argue, okay, Gladstone would probably get in over her. Sandra Huller, Carey Mulligan is ahead of her. Emma Stone's ahead of her, and then maybe if you slip in like Fantasia, or possibly even Annette Bening, or maybe even Greta Lee, or somebody like that, okay, then you can see where she could possibly fall out of a Critics' Choice list. But like BAFTA, for example, I see her potentially missing. The SAGs, I feel like she has a much better shot at getting in there than say at BAFTA. But I wouldn't be surprised if Oscars morning, it's like, yeah, that's kind of the argument. Since she is a producer on the film, she's going to be nominated as a producer on the film. The acting branch would leave her out for Best Actress, and it's whittle her down. I see that very much happening here, so that's why that's just something I kind of realized here in the last 24 hours. But that being said, I feel like these 6 are again pretty good. I mean, they go with like Abby Ryder's probably the one where I'm like a little shaky on, because they don't always go for these child performances. But it seems like sometimes when I don't predict them, they get in. Once in a while when I do predict them, they get in, and then most of the time when I do not predict them, that's when they do get in. So we'll see. But that being said, Natalie Portman for May December is one to really look out for. Again, with Todd Haynes, she and with her just being the star she is and everything, that could just happen, and I could just drop and I think they would drop either Abby Ryder or possibly Jennifer Lawrence. I feel like once in a while, like The Hangover, as I recall. I don't think that got any acting nominations here at the Globes. I think that was just, it won for Best Motion Picture Comedy Musical, but I don't think it had any acting nominations at the Globes. It did not. No, didn't get like or screenplay or anything else like that. It was just Motion Picture Comedy Musical, and it won, which doesn't happen that often here at the Globes. Traditionally, you do need like a screenplay or an acting race or two, or a better yet, director to win these, but not always. So, that I think I think a lot of us, including myself, are just predicting it because, number one, it was a popular enough movie, these kind of bigger studio comedies, that was one that people kind of remember, and it is Jennifer Lawrence, who has won, if I'm not mistaken, 3 times here. She won for Silver Linings, one for Joy, and one for American Hustle. So, they love her here. So, yeah, and even in a year like when she had Don't Look Up, you could argue maybe the competition that year wasn't as strong here in this category, but she still got a nomination there, even though she wasn't really being considered very heavily in the Best Actress category everywhere else. Let's see. So yeah, Natalie Portman's the first one I would go to. Halle Bailey for Little Mermaid could be a sneaky pick here, and then Eve Hewson for Flora and Son if that one gets enough votes from the votings there. And in Best Actor, Comedy Musical, Gael Garcia Bernal for Cassandra is my first pick here. Then Nicolas Cage, Dream Scenario, Timothée Chalamet for Wonka, Matt Damon for Air, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. I dropped Michael Fassbender here. Next Goal Wins just really is not going anywhere at the box office, not that we were expecting it to. And let's not forget Taika Waititi, and Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit really struggled here at the Globes. It missed quite a few nominations that we thought it was really, really in line for, like screenplay couldn't get in. Supporting actress for Scarlett Johansson couldn't get in. As I recall, it only got Best Actor for the younger actor and Best Film Motion Picture Comedy Musical. So it really disappointed there. So they don't always love Taika's stuff. So I've got him out. Paul Dano for Dumb Money, just in case, and Jamie Foxx for The Burial, just in case. But I feel like the 6 I've got here are pretty decent picks. In Best Actress Drama, my picks here are Annette Bening for Nyad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Greta Lee for Past Lives, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Kaylee Spaney for Priscilla. And again, I feel like after these 6, we're really scratching here. Like Ingenue Ellis for Origin feels like she's a mile away from getting in at the Oscars. Jessica Chastain for Memory, is one that was dated a little later for release. And she is a past winner here, so she could, she could get in if there's an open slot. And one, she traditionally does a lot better when it's the comedy musical category, but not always. Helen Mirren, she's kind of a queen of somebody that sometimes sneaks into these. Like even at SAG, she sometimes sneaks in Best Actress when there's an open slot. So she's got a film out called Golda. So that's one I would look out for as another sneaky pick to get in there. And one thing I do want to say. Annette Bening traditionally for like The Report and stuff like that, this has been like the Globe still can give her a nomination. If she misses here for Nyad, I think that whole narrative of her winning, it being her time and stuff that I've been talking about for the last month or two, that narrative is just gone. Because if it's gonna be reminiscent of when like Johnny Depp, for example, when he missed for Black Mass here at the Globes, it's like, oh yeah, the one spot, because Black Mass. Came out early. People liked it. I liked it, and people were like, yeah, Johnny Depp. He'll probably be about the only thing nominated from it. Whoops, there's that trap again. And it's like, yep. Even the Globes came along and said, nope. As I recall, he only got SAG. He missed at Critics' Choice. Later on, missed at BAFTA, and then by then we knew, yeah, he's out of the Oscar race. So, yeah. So if Annette misses here for Nyad, a movie that feels like it's got a decent shot here. And it being Annette Bening, yeah, that's when I'm like, okay, time to switch course here and go with probably a Lily Gladstone at that point for me. She would be my betting for who would win here. In the Best Actor Drama race, I've got Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Leonardo DiCaprio for Killers of the Flower Moon, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, Joaquin Phoenix for Napoleon, and Andrew Scott, All of Us Strangers. And again, I feel pretty good about these 6. But the 3 I have picked, any one of them feel like they're kind of sneaky, kind of dangerous here. Barry Keoghan for Saltburn, if they want to give, again, if Air doesn't flow very well and it doesn't get like a couple of those slots that we think it's got a shot at, like, film, comedy musical, or Matt Damon, or possibly even Viola Davis, if they end up liking Saltburn better, Barry Keoghan could be one, and he is a past nominee here at the Globes. Zac Efron for The Iron Claw, again, if that one is hitting at just the right time, that could be a spot that gets open. And then he did win here at the Critics' Choice or New York Film Critics, Franz Rogowski for Passages. We'll see. We'll just see. Okay, next up is the directing lineup. The 6 picks I have here, and this is alphabetical by film: Barbie, director Greta Gerwig; Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese; Maestro, Bradley Cooper; Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan; Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos; and The Holdovers, Alexander Payne. again, I feel really good about these 6. I feel like these are probably the 6 if you don't include somebody like possibly, and some of the other ones I'll name here, but if you're not including Anatomy of a Fall, if you're not including American Fiction or even Zone of Interest in your directing lineup, it's got to be these 6, right? It's got to be coming down to these 6. And yeah, I feel like these are all films that the Globes are going to respond to and like and nominate in key categories. So the ones I would look out for: Celine Song for Past Lives, Just in Case. Todd Haynes, yep, just count him everywhere for May December. Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. If she gets in here, that's a really good sign. That's a really, really good sign, especially if Anatomy of a Fall, does okay here, because again, it feels like it is one that's starting to slip a little bit, but its inclusion on a lot of these lists for at least international feature at a lot of these critics groups, that's it's staying a little bit in the memory there. That's I'm glad for that, because I did enjoy that one. Cord Jefferson, this could be a good spot for Cord Jefferson to come on the scene here and say, "Yep, I'm going to be nominated." This could be, because not all of us were seeing Peter Farrelly for Green Book around this time, and I know a lot of people might be annoyed that I'm making that comparison, but it's not because of the subject matter of the films or anything. It's just the way it won for People's Choice there at Toronto, and the fact that it is a little bit of a later release, and it feels like one that's only going to play above the line, except for maybe film editing. That's kind of where I'm getting these comparisons from. But yeah, if Cord gets in here, okay, now we've got a discussion. Now we've got something that really could be interesting, and we can see if he can keep landing some spots. Like Critics' Choice then feels pretty good, and we'll see about DGA. DGA will be a huge, huge test for that film. And then, yeah, I think I mentioned him, Jonathan Glazer for Zone of Interest. If that one really peeks through, and it is one, since remember we're talking the Hollywood Foreign Press, they sometimes do like their international films, that's a spot where Jonathan Glazer could get in. Okay, that just leaves the motion picture comedy musical races. American Fiction, Barbie, The Color Purple, Poor Things, The Holdovers, and Wonka are my 6, with Air, May, December, and Little Mermaid being the 3 on the outside looking in. By the way, Wonka, I think we should mention, reviews are starting to come out for that, like full reviews, not just initial reactions and stuff. Last I checked, I'll just pull it up now just to see if it's changed, but it was mid-80s on the Rotten Tomatoes, 85 as of right now, which I think is solid for this movie. If it was lower than like 79 or 78, I would have been a little worried about it, but yeah, the fact that it's, average rating is 7.5 out of 10, so that's decent, that's pretty good. Especially this is a film that, some would argue, a lot of people out there that are, diehard Gene Wilder fans, like myself, maybe being a little pessimistic about the film and just, you shouldn't even touch Wonka, just don't even do anything with it. The fact that, a lot of critics are being won over by it is a good sign. And it feels like it's one that hit late enough that something, it's going to be top of mind for a few Globe voters, so I can see it getting in over something like May, December, or Air, which I think a few sites have picked above Wonka. And then for picture drama, my 6 are Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, and The Zone of Interest. Again, I feel like those are pretty solid. Saltburn, Napoleon, and All the Strangers are the 3 I have as possible sneaky picks there, but I feel pretty good about my 6. I just feel like again, these are all films that are in the Oscar discussion at least, so yeah. So overall, yeah, I think Oppenheimer is going to do well here. I can see American Fiction being one of those films that can maybe surprises with the number of nominations it has. I have it getting into 5, if I'm not mistaken. Screenplay, hang on here, maybe it's 4. Because I have it in for screenplay, I have it in for 2 acting races and film. So yeah, that's 4. Oppenheimer, I think, really gets in across the board here. Screenplay, score, 3 acting races, director picture is 7. 7's usually about tops for the Globes. 8 last year for Banshees, though. And then, let's see, Killers of the Flower Moon, I have in for score, screenplay, 2 acting races, director picture, so I have that getting 6. That feels about right for that film, but 7 is possible. Maestro, I have getting 2 acting, screenplay, director, film, and... Or no, hang on. No, 2 acting, director, film. I do not have it in screenplay. Nope, just the 4. Just the 4 there. And it doesn't have an original score, otherwise I think it would probably have a decent shot at getting into that one. Poor Things. Poor Things could be one that sneaks up on us. Director, picture, 3 acting races, screenplay, and score. That's 7, so I can see that tying very, very easily. So that could tie. Barbie's got a good shot here with a song, at least one song, getting in. Screenplay, 2 acting races, director, picture. That's 6. Feels pretty good there. The color purple has at least 1 acting race there, possibly 2. We'll see. Song, I have it getting in for film and best actress. So 2 acting races for that one. That's right. So 4, possibly stretching it to 5. Yeah, that feels pretty good for that one. Is there any other one that I've completely overlooked for like bigger multiple nominees? Yeah, I think Anatomy of a Fall being at like 3 feels all right. Wonka being at 2 or 3. If it qualifies for a song, maybe, then that would, yeah. Holdovers, I think we did mention that's 2 acting, screenplay, director, comedy, film is 5. Possibly that could bump up to like 6 maybe if a supporting actor gets in, but yeah. Yeah, then May, December could be 2 or 3, 4 max, I think. Maybe even 5 max if it gets that directing slot. That could be like a... remember Nocturnal Animals? That kind of feels like one of those slots, right? Where it's like, oh, it gets director and it gets a few acting races, but then it misses film. It just feels like one of those to me, too. So, yeah. Okay, so I think we're good here. I'll be back on Monday morning. We'll be at the other location. We'll go ahead and shoot the video there, live reactions as they come out. Fingers crossed, as long as there's no Wi-Fi problems or anything like that, and as long as I can find the source for where these nominations are going to be announced, because sometimes it's a little bit of a scramble to try to find it. So, all right, that's all I got for now, so we will be back on Monday morning.